Aibon and a warm welcome to the program Diyawannawa Tharanayakala Aluth Muhunu, where we have the privilege of getting to know more intimately about the new faces who have entered the parliament so that your voice can be heard. Sri Lanka is a beautiful country full of diversity, and this is one reason which makes Sri Lanka unique and beautiful. This beauty and uniqueness is also reflected in the parliament. So today we have a figure who adds glamour and uniqueness to that diversity. So with us we have Honourable Member of Parliament Shanakiyan Rajaputhiran Rasamanickam of Ilangai Tamil Aruthu Katchi, representing the parliament by the mandate given by the people of the Batticaloa district. We welcome you, sir, and I
Vanakkam.
To begin with, Honourable Member, I am sure that you are no stranger to the people of the district that you represent, but I am sure Sri Lankans must be quite curious and excited to know more about you. So, to start with, who is Shanakiyan? Where does everything start from? Your childhood, your youth? Let's talk.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me on the program. In fact, since I was very young, from a very young time, I was very passionate about politics. I mean, I used to watch all sorts of TV programs and talk shows and so on and so forth from a very young age. And I think it's in my genes as well because my late grandfather was a member of parliament. However, I mean, to talk about my personal life, I think I went to school in Kandy. I studied at Trinity College in Kandy, and then I migrated to Australia for my higher education, and I studied in Brisbane. I'm an accountant by profession, and rather an auditor. My degree was a Bachelor of Commerce, and I'm an auditor by profession, and I worked as an auditor as well, an external auditor. Did my chartered professional accounting as well. And then, I came down to Sri Lanka for holidays for my grandfather's 100th birthday. There was a grand festival that was arranged by the Ilangai Tamil Aruthu Katchi. So I came as an invitee for that event, and then I never went back to Australia. I just decided to stay in Sri Lanka and then joined politics. And I started my political journey from the SLFP, in fact, and I was the SLFP organizer for the Padirippu electorate during the time of the present Prime Minister, the former President, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa. And then, and then I've evolved. It's my political career's progress, and today I'm a member of parliament for Batticaloa representing the ITAC. So it's a very long path in a very short period of time, to be honest.
I'm sure it must have been quite a long journey. Now, something interesting that I came across as you were speaking, Honourable Member, you are a professional in terms of accounting, but politics and accounting is a total different field. So what made you enter into politics from accounting?
I think being a professional and being a parliamentarian is actually quite essential because a lot of the members who get elected today, I believe, feel that they come to parliament to build roads, to give jobs, to give toilets, to do development work in their constituency. But to be honest, the purpose of a parliament is actually a lawmaker. So you enact laws in parliament, which is your sole purpose of getting elected to parliament. So I think being a professional adds a bit of more value to you as a parliamentarian because I've been appointed to the COPE committee, and the COPE committee primarily audits state institutions. So being an auditor gives me that edge to be excellent or be better at my role as a COPE committee member. So, to be honest, I think most parliamentarians, I feel that they should have some sort of professional background so that they can add value to the parliament. But however, having said that, I joined politics it had nothing to do with me being a professional. I mean, there's no connection between the two things. I joined politics because I have a genuine passion to see, some sort of development in the issues that our people face in the district.
Now, we see a lot of youth representation in the 9th Parliament, including yourself. Now, this is a bit of a change of wind from the politics that we used to see and we used to know. So what is your opinion with this regard?
I think I'm the youngest member in the opposition, if I'm not mistaken, because when I got elected I was 29 years. So I mean, I think there are 4 parliamentarians under the age of 30, and then overall this is a very young parliament, and I think that's a very that's the way forward as well, because see, youngsters need to be at the point where laws are enacted, because it's our lives that are going to get affected based on these laws that are getting enacted. So if you look at the constitutions that have come in the past, if you look at the 1978 constitution, I think the lawmakers who enacted that constitution most of them didn't live to see the millennium, right? So I think it's very important that youth take on this role. There are so many challenges in youth coming through to parliament, because with the system, the election system, it gives senior members, older members who've been in power for long extended periods a little bit of a opportunity that we don't get with the kind of work that they must have done in the past. But I think going forward, I think maybe even if we can bring in laws where there has to be a certain percentage of youth who contest for parliament, that will be a great thing for Sri Lanka.
Honourable Member, when you were doing your first speech, I heard that you were saying how important it is to address the government in a language that they would understand, and a quite intriguing factor is that you're quite eloquent in all 3 languages. So how does this come about?
See, what I said was not to address the government, because the government probably understands all 3 languages, because that should be the norm. But I think I've noticed in Parliament, the first couple of times, I think I spoke on the 2nd or 3rd day that after Parliament, the 9th Parliament convened. And something that I noticed was that, most of our members who speak Tamil, when they speak in Tamil, most people, not just the government side, opposition side as well, didn't seem to wear their headphones, where, the translator, the interpreter gives the interpreted version of the speech. So then I spoke to a few people and few members, and they didn't understand Tamil either. So I found it very strange, and then I thought maybe that could be one of the reasons why some of the issues that Tamil people have spoken have not been addressed or have been misinterpreted in the media. So this is why I actually decided to speak in Sinhala, so that because I understand that most people will understand Sinhalese, and also the Tamil members don't need to understand what I say if they don't understand, because they already know what our issues are.
Sure.
So it's important that the people who speak Sinhala understand. So I think this is one of the reasons why I speak that is because I grew up in Kandy, and I went to a school in Kandy. I went to Trinity College in Kandy, as I've mentioned previously. And our school, gives a background of has Tamil medium, English medium, and Sinhala medium, and we mingle with Tamil friends and Sinhala friends. So I think that could be one of the reasons why, as you said, that I speak all 3 languages quite well.
Now, you are the grandson of late Honourable S.M. Rasamanickam. So I'm sure that your grandfather must have had a great influence in terms of this political journey of yours. So let's talk about that.
He's the only Tamil politician to have a statue in the East. So that speaks volumes of his contribution to the Tamil society. See, my grandfather and Mr. Chelvanayakam, he's the founder of our party. Mr. Chelvanayakam was from the north, and Mr. Rasamanickam was one of the prominent voices of the East. So both of them got together and brought the ideology of devolution of powers for this country. See, when the British came to Sri Lanka, this country had different administrations in different parts of the country. But to make it all very easy for administrative purposes, this nation was brought together under one administrative district. But then when the British left, unfortunately, they left it as it is, and they didn't worry about how the composition of this country's administration was before their period. So my grandfather, along with Mr. Tharanayakala, they continuously on different issues. I mean, if we were to talk about those issues, this will become a political debate. So, I mean, not a debate, it will be more of a very deep political discussion. So, I'd like to keep those very minimal. But see, the contribution that he had made, so even when I go to Batiklo, I moved back to Batiklo in 2013. Before that, I lived in Australia. And when I went back in 2013, if I speak to someone, and I didn't need an introduction, all I had to say was I'm Mr. Rasamannickam grandson, and at that time I in fact had hair. So it was nowadays people say, oh yeah, you look like your grandfather, but then it was actually quite different. So I had to say his name, and then people always recognize. So I think that influence, maybe that's one of the driving forces within me, that one day my grandson should be able to go to Batiklo. That could be from in a long period of time. Should be able to go to Batiklo and say that I'm, Shanakiyan Rajaputhiran's grandson, and I feel that, that welcoming that I got should be given to him. And to do that, I think I need to do a great service for the Tamil community of this country and all Sri Lankans of this country, to be honest.
I'm sure Honorable S.M. Rasamanickam was a legendary character, but Honorable Member, this is your legacy we are going to talk about. So, talking about the district which you have come to Parliament from, where you've been elected from, what pressing issues do you see, and what is your plan in terms of short-term and long-term in addressing these issues?
See, as a country, all Sri Lankans, all districts have very similar issues. Jobs, houses, roads, toilets, you name it, sports grounds. We have in terms of economical issues, in terms of economic point of view, we all have very similar issues. But say Batiklo, for an instance, and the Northeast, because I represented a party that primarily represent the communities in the North and the East. So we have the same issues that all other districts have, but we have one extra issue, which is what we come to represent, is our political rights. See, if economical issues were the only issue, I don't think our party would have lasted 72 years. This party is 72 years old, and even to date, people vote for this party. And we, in our election campaigns, in no place have we said that vote for us, we will build you toilets, or anything to do with economy. But we have major issues with political identity. See, we are not separatists. That has to be very clearly highlighted. From the inception of this party, the party has asked for devolution of powers in different forms. Now, see, we have not strictly put down a system saying this should be how power should be devolved in the country. All we are saying is that we want the Tamil youth, the Tamils of this country in the north and east. The thing that we ask for is that we need to be able to administrate ourselves. We need to be able to decide what's best for our area.
So now we have come into a new era in politics, from the 8th Parliament to the 9th Parliament. So in your opinion, how do you and your party intend to collaborate with this new government for the betterment of Sri Lanka as a whole?
Like I said earlier, I think our party has been trying to work with all successive governments, from Mr. Diyawannawa, Mr. Dudley Tharanayakala, Mr. Bandaranaike, Jaya Jayawadna, all leaders, all parties. Our party has had discussions with all parties trying to make this country a better place. But unfortunately, Tamils have always been used as the way to come to power. This needs to change for us to go forward as a country. Now, if you look at the period of Mrs. Kumaratunga, it was a UNP government that burnt the constitution in Parliament, and they used that to try and come back to power. And then thereafter, if you look at 2015 to 2020, the whole slogans of most political parties was that this country was going to get split, Elam, federal form of government. They don't even understand what federal form of governance is, which is sad. To go forward as a country, our party, we are willing to work with any government, because all we want is we want to solve our issues within a united Sri Lanka. So to go forward, for us to go back to our people, say for an example, even like democratic forms of protests are being stopped by this government. So even today, this month, the month of September, I have 5 court orders against me. Why? For trying to have peaceful demonstrations against undemocratic things that this government is taking forward. So for us to go forward as a nation, I think we need to understand that all communities, this country doesn't just mean that there are different races in this country. So for us to all forge a Sri Lankan identity, forget all races, all issues from these races need to be addressed. Otherwise, it's very hard to go forward. So I hope the 9th Parliament of Sri Lanka will address these issues, because this government has 2/3 power. And it's also very important to understand that, how the pillars of democracy is the judiciary and the parliament, and the country is run by the 3 powers. I think it's very important for us to see that, one brother is the Prime Minister of the country, one brother is the President of the country, another brother is the Secretary of the party that holds 130 seats. This is a great opportunity to, to use the 9th Parliament to enact a new constitution, so we can forge a Sri Lankan identity, and we can go forward as a nation and be one of, we boast of Sri Lanka being one of the oldest democracies in Asia, right? But that's a good thing. But democracy means that not just the franchise to vote. We need to address the issues that this nation faces. And because we haven't faced that from the time of independence, where we were booming economy in Asia, today we are one of the worst economies in Asia. Why? Because we haven't addressed our domestic issues in terms of our political issues. So I think hope to achieve that. As a person, I hope to contribute to that. Like I said, now saying these things, normally the easiest thing is to brand someone as a racist, a Jativadiya. Sit down. This is a Jativadiya has come, another Tamil Jativadiya has come to speak about this. This is what happens. So don't brand me as a Jativadiya. Listen to what I'm saying. I mean, we're not saying, because you're fed this Jativadiya attitude, racist attitude, for someone else's political gain. So don't fall into that bit. Think like sane civilians, and you will also understand that these are issues that we need to rectify.
Many issues to be rectified, many goals to be achieved, but there's unity in diversity, and your voice is a value addition which brings out the uniqueness and the beauty of the diversity that Sri Lanka is made of. So, in final thoughts, what would your message be to the people of Sri Lanka as a Sri Lankan?
As a Sri Lankan, I want to be able to proudly call myself a Sri Lankan alongside all the communities who live in this country. And to do that, like I said throughout this discussion, we need to all forge a Sri Lankan identity. And to get to that, I think our issues need to be addressed. Our issues range from they're very small issues. I mean, these can be easily addressed, these can be easily resolved if someone has the will to do it. And let's all get together and take this country from, to its old glory. Like I said, we were almost the miracle of Asia, the wonder of Asia, literally not just for namesake. During the time of independence, we were actually, a great economy. Different countries looked at Sri Lanka as, we need to be like Sri Lanka. So we need to get back there. And to get back there, I don't think we can just get back there with developing this country through infrastructure and economy. We need to all get together, solve our issues, forget the past. And to forget the past, the pressing issues need to be addressed, and then move forward. So let's all get together as a young parliament. When this new constitution is about to be debated, we'll all give us all an opportunity to put forward the thoughts and the hopes of the people that we represent, so that we can have a meaningful constitution that addresses all our issues, and then we can all be one big happy family. So I think to get there, let's all work together. Stop using racism as your way to power. Look at real issues. Think like Sri Lankans, and think of everyone as Sri Lankans, and then I think of other people's problems as your own problems. Think of yourself in someone else's shoe. Put yourself in that position, and then I think we can easily go forward. And I really hope that we will, this 9th Parliament, by the end of this term of the 9th Parliament, that Sri Lanka will be truly Sri Lanka that we all wish that it could be.
Learn from the past and look forward for the future together as Sri Lankans. What a beautiful thought to end today's program, Diyawannawa Tharanayakala Aluth Muhunu. So we thank Honourable Member of Parliament Shanakiyan Rajaputhiran Rasamanickam for joining with us today, and with the hopes of meeting a new face who has crossed the paths of Diyawannawa. We bid farewell to you for today. Aibon.